I have a very special guest with me tonight on Frankly Speaking. Mira Kulkarni, founder and chairperson and managing director of Forest Essentials. Thank you very much, Mira ji, for joining me on Frankly Speaking. And tonight, I really want to ask you, from the heart, to speak frankly, address all those women who have dreams in their eyes, because you started your business at the age of 45, and most women are looking at hanging up their boots or getting into the sunset mode. You started with 2 people and 2 lakhs investment, and today you're a 10,000 crore company. How did you get here?
Okay, everything starts at the very beginning, and I go back to 2000, at a time when Ayurveda was very much there, but traditionally so. It was perceived as being medicinal, perceived as being effective, but not many people, certainly not the way it is now, how it's perceived now, but it was, I think, at that time that the idea of having effective products which were pleasurable to use was not something that was known. And I think that was a very revolutionary concept that Forest Essentials came up with at the time. And taking it and making it accessible and aspirational, really, became that journey. That's how it started.
Amazing. And luxury Ayurveda at a time when people are becoming very, very aware of the fact that sustainability is important, natural is better than chemical. You thought about it way before the world caught on to the fad. And from candle mania, because you started with making candles when I was reading about you, to making soaps. The idea, how did it strike you? The name Forest Essentials, why Forest Essentials? How did you brand it? How has it grown? Please tell us all.
So the idea was actually to, as I say, make products which were... I come from a background where Ayurveda was very much part of our lives, and not as Ayurveda. It was just, you used seasonal products, you used fresh products. It was part of a certain way of life that I think everyone at that time really grew up with. It was never really a business. When it started, it was not a business. So I, as you say, started with soaps. When I started making soaps, I realized that the traditional formulas were all there. They've been there for thousands of years. So it's like a cookbook. You take a recipe, and it's what you put in it. It's what they were using for Ayurvedic products at that time was not of high quality, because the perception was that nobody would buy it. If you make a soap for 100 rupees at that time, they said nobody's going to buy it, because who buys soaps for 100 rupees? But what I thought, and I thought for myself, would I buy something if I knew that the purity and the ingredients were of that quality? And I thought to myself, I would buy it. So if I would buy it, I think there would be many people who would do the same. So started by trying to make the finest soaps possible. And it was impossible because there were no ingredients. Nobody made pure oils. Nobody, they weren't available in the market. So we had to go backwards and source the ingredients. When we couldn't source the ingredients, we had to make them ourselves. So that was the start of this. The name was actually a very close friend of mine, Kiran Nadar. She came one day and she said, "What are you doing? What are these soaps?" And I said, well, I told her what was behind it. And she said, "I've just come back from America, and I saw, we were staying somewhere, and there was this wonderful name, which was on this product." And I said, so she said it was called Forest Essentials. I said, "I love the name." And I didn't want anything which was herbal and which was, I said, "This just captures everything." And she said, "Okay." So we didn't realize at all at that, So I said, Forest Essentials, made a little logo, put a tree, and that was it.
All in-house, between friends.
Yeah, that was it.
Amazing.
So it doesn't sound feasible now, but that's how it started. But then eventually we had to have the trademark there, and we bought that company subsequently. But that's how it began.
Amazing. Being a woman, was it difficult? Because in India, and if I tell you the numbers, sometimes those numbers are extremely worrying, because women don't seem to be part of too much in the India story. According to an estimate, only 14% of entrepreneurs in India are women. We rank 57 out of 65 in the world in terms of women entrepreneurship. We have only 2.16 women participating in early age entrepreneurial activities. And 90% of women-owned enterprises are single-person micro businesses. Only 17% employ workers, and mostly the number of workers they employ are below 6. In all of this, Mira Kulkarni has come from 2 employees to this kind of a luxury brand. That's literally defining natural cosmetics, call it skincare. How did it all happen, and what were the challenges?
The challenges were fairly basic. The challenges were really sourcing, getting pure. It was just not available. So nobody used them, So if you say you want fresh herbs, because you're using them because of certain benefits that they bring. But they were not available. They were in gunny sacks, in godowns. You don't know when they had been kept, and the whole thing is that it has to be fresh. It has to be plucked at a certain time. It's only if it is used like that it is beneficial. Otherwise, you can say
there's a science behind it.
Yeah, there's an actual. I mean, you pluck some herbs between 6 and 8 in the evening, for instance, or early in the morning before dawn. But if you don't do that, then you're just putting it in, and you can say that it's in there. But we didn't want to do that. So I think the problem is that, the most challenging time was that people didn't understand. Like I'd say, "Is this oil pure?" And they'd say, this is pure. But ye to mustard oil hai, ye to almond oil hai. What is this taken out from almonds? And they look at you as if you're crazy, who takes out oil from almonds? It was like that. So what happened with challenges were that we had to reinvent the wheel. We had to go backwards. That's why this actually has taken a long time. It's not like today you open a company and it's functioning in 3 months, you know. So we went backwards. We found hand pressing machines to take out oils, to found vendors who who would pluck the herbs at certain times. It was just so I think 2 or 3 years went in that.
Labor of love.
It was a labor of love, completely.
And I read about the fact that you went to Rishikesh. I mean, one is the challenge of finding the ingredients and as you said, reinventing the wheel. But women going, talking to vendors, asking them to do things in a certain way, how was that accepted?
Actually, I never found that being a woman was a barrier at all. I mean, maybe I've just been lucky. It never was. I, in fact, found people who went out of their way. And they were, I mean, where they needn't have, you know, to explain, to say, Nate, it doesn't work like this, it works like this. So I had, maybe that also, well, that also was a certain factor for the success of the venture, because I had so many people along the line who just went completely out of their way to help.
And it just happened?
It just happened. I think it was also a very inclusive process. It was, everyone got so involved that everyone said it's our project, you know. So
everyone?
Yeah. Everyone who, firstly, gradually the people who were working. And then even the people that we used to source from, that we used to, they were so, I think, first they were quite surprised and quite skeptical that this kind of thing is not going to succeed. And then they gradually started also thinking, yeah, this might, you know, and we want to be part of it. So it's been a great journey in that sense.
And 110 stores, I think, in the country, opening abroad.
160 now.
160 now, as we speak. I mean, between your last published interview to now, I mean, is that the rate at which you're growing?
No, I mean, that's what it is now. But so from what I was saying is that the first stores took many years to start, and then it was 1 store a year. And then, of course, it becomes easier and it becomes, you know, so that's why.
You make it sound so easy, so simple. Ke, kiya, ho gaya, and here I am.
No, it wasn't so simple. It wasn't so simple. It was very, very hard work. But, you know, when you're enjoying the work, I love the work, so it's never seemed difficult.
And to have your product available in hotels, how did that happen? Was that easy? Did you have help? You know, as you said, the first one is always the most difficult one, and then things begin to fall in place.
Yeah.
How difficult was, you know, convincing somebody across the table that your product was real luxury Ayurveda, you know, that people needed to try?
It was difficult. Once you are looking at, let's say, a chain with the credibility of the Oberoi or the Taj, nobody takes any chances, you know. So the process is very tough. But the good thing is, once they realize that this is actually what it is, they come, they check, you know, there are all sorts of checks and balances that they do, and they continue to do. But once they do that, then you are, when you are convinced yourself, then it's easier to, take it forward. Because, so what I'm saying is it's difficult in the beginning, but then it becomes easier.
So Mira ji, tell me, from a normal life, education, parents, marriage, business, how did it all flow out? I mean, had you planned anything like this? How did you get through the journey of life?
I'd never worked. I did fine arts in college. I got married in the first year of college. I was...
you must have been 20 years or 19
I was 19. And no exposure in terms of very...
protected life.
Protected, yeah. And so there was and no ambition really. I mean, I didn't think that I'm going to... I was very happy being married, had 2 kids, and I didn't know there was any other life, But then my life has been a bit sort of dramatic, to say the least. So suddenly it was, my father died, then my mother died, and then my husband died, sort of fairly quick succession. And I was really not equipped to be alone, or to, I always felt that I needed someone to take care of me. And, but then suddenly you're alone, and there are 2 kids.
And you were how old then?
I was 27 or 28 when
all this
happened. And then it sort of, things just happened, and you're so busy fighting for survival. But I think in terms of, what you're talking about, women, and I think women have so much more strength. In many cases, it's not tested, and many cases happily so. But when you are against the wall, or when you are, when you need to do things that then there's no choice, then women have, I think, much more reserves of strength than perhaps men do.
But it must have been difficult. Were you financially well provided for, or did you have to sort of work towards making, a life for yourself and the children, especially with no parents, no husband around? How did you manage that?
So I didn't have, I wasn't financially secure, because it was not, so we lived well. As middle class family, where there's nothing very much you sort of asking for. There was no money as such, so there was no requirement of money before, but there was no money. And suddenly survival became the thing. So then how you survive is also dependent on how you take things, how gracefully you can take things sometimes. Sometimes they're more difficult than I'm making them sound, but there is an equilibrium at some point, You either sink or swim, but what can you do? Sometimes there's no choice. So you just look for how to make it work. But God has been very kind. I have.
So you started working, and at that time, and
I started a job. Some friends had a travel agency at that time, I think I got the job just because they were feeling so sorry for me. But that's it. I used to go there and come back, and then I think it was I can't remember exactly what happened after that.
Just bringing up kids. It's a cycle we all go through. One day turns into the next day, and then months pass by and years pass by, just because you're going through the routine of sending kids to school, running the house, doing your job.
I think it was the normal things of life. And then this happened. I mean, I can't even say this happened because there was no sort of eureka moment that it happened, But gradually, it's just sort of business went from one thing to the other, and work started. Work started actually becoming, more structured. And then I said, it was more structured, and also sometimes the less you know, the better, because you come with preconceived notions of how something should be. When you don't know anything, then sometimes you can come out with things which no one expects you to do, because you've never been exposed to it, So you can come out with fairly radical things sometimes.
So what was your inspiration that led you, as you said, one thing led to another? What was the inspiration behind it, and what made you explore this radical thought?
It just went from one thing to another. I think even putting up the workshop there, putting up a workshop in a village in Lodsi was, nobody thought it could happen. How are you going to put up a workshop? How the hell are you going to put up a workshop? But I think I just decided that we are going to do it. And there was no road. There was no road going up to the village which was motorable. I mean, there was a road where you could walk. And we said, how are we going to take things from here? And also there was no money. So, I mean, we had to sort of be, how is it going to put up this little shed? So there were people who were carrying things on their heads, going on those roads which was not motorable. I mean, it sounds bizarre now. What do I say?
And how big is the workshop or the factory or whatever today?
Now it's of course much larger. But at the time when we built it, it was a little shed, and then it was, then we had this little sort of oil pressing machine, and everyone was doing it by hand, and they still do it by hand. They do, all the techniques are done by hand.
And at that time, did you ever think, itni dur jayenge?
No.
So, it was just a dream that you conceived, and then you just started working on it with no targets.
No targets.
And just...
No targets. Even the first store was, we used to, so when these things were being made, there was someone who had a bookstore in Khan Market. And they said, can you put some of these soaps and things here?
Kirtan.
Nahi.
Acha,
Piche. Haan.
Okay.
So we gave them some soaps to put in. Then they came back to us and said, can you get us some more, because they've all sold. So then this happened. We gave them. So basically it started selling well. And then one day somebody came to me and said, we have a store which is coming up for rent in Khan Market. And I had a close friend, and actually we were sitting here, and he said, he said stores never come up in Khan Market. And we were only selling soaps by this time. Stores never come up in Khan Market. And I said, we need a store because that's the best way to sell. So he said, so would you like to take on this store? And I said, how much is it? And it was some absurd amount. And I said, are you crazy? Who's going to pay this much for a store? I mean, And then we were sitting there and he said, if you don't take it now, you won't get the chance, stores don't come up. And I said, let's take it. My accountant was there who was sort of, and I said, let's take it. And we just took it. It was like that. And we didn't know how to merchandise the store. We had no idea of what was the back end. It was mad. When I'm saying it myself, I'm sounding like I'm crazy. So we did the merchandise. No one knew how to do the merchandising. Didn't know how the back end of the supply chain, nothing. And Khan Market used to be replenished every day. We used to be sold out, and then next day it would be replenished again. It sounds a bit, yeah.
So just like a dream.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I can't believe that you didn't know how to merchandise, because right now when you go to a Forest Essentials store, the way they pack it and the way they sprinkle some petals on it, and that whole process, and the box that it comes in, the packet that it comes in, it seems like it's all been thought so very well by somebody. And of course it seems like it was a woman who was planning all of this even before I met you or read so much about you. It was just the experience of going to the store and getting. Must have been your thought right to the last minutest detail.
Yeah. So that's okay. So I'm a perfectionist. I'm obsessive about detail. So that is one trait. Because even when we started the stores, and as I said, didn't know anything, but we said that the experience that the person gets when you come in has to be perfect to the last detail. Also, the kind of staff we kept. Eventually, I'm saying that how it sort of, it was a sort of, let's say, a higher level of staff, people who could communicate, people who could anticipate. And the most important thing is that I said we don't want staff who is selling. We don't want anyone who sells the product. It should be an explanation of what it is, but never,
Yeah, I know what you mean. Don't be pushy and don't sort of make somebody buy it unless they are convinced.
No, absolutely. So, so the whole thing was not. There was no pressure to buy, or nobody come. It was not that sort of.
But weren't you nervous? If you don't put pressure to sell, how do you make money? And then how do you pay for the rental? And how do you,
But it's a vicious circle, because the more you are pressured or pressure someone, it works the other way around. So I feel that it should never be someone who's got pressure to buy. You should want to buy it. It should not be available for you to buy. So you must want it more.
And in a cluttered market, that's, that's a mantra, that's an attitude. But it is a clutter market, and there are so many brands, Indian and foreign brands, that are literally jostling, for space on the shelves and into people's bags and dressing tables. In all of that, to be a little reticent, how does it work?
it seems to work well.
I love the way you're a woman of very few words. I don't see too many interviews of you. Are you a shy person?
Very, and very reticent, and very behind the scenes.
Why?
Just.
I mean, how do you enjoy the success? Because you've worked hard for it.
I enjoy it. I don't like to talk too much about it. I don't like to, and I am sort of pretty much behind the scenes kind of person. But I enjoy it. As I say, I love what I do, and I do enjoy it now. I enjoy the things that success brings. But do I want to be out there? No.
No?
No.
Not in your face?
No.
No. Why?
I suppose it's just the way I am. It's, you know.
Just with a close circle of friends and...
Yeah, I'm not the greatest socializer. I don't.
So what do you do? What are your other hobbies other than work?
I have lots of hobbies. I do a lot of gardening. I love cooking.
What kind of
cooking? I collect cookbooks. So my whole house is overflowing with cookbooks. So I love reading. I love spending time with my grandchildren, except they don't have any time to spend with me these days.
How old are they?
My elder one is 13 today. And the
today?
Yeah.
Oh,
and the younger one is...
Happy birthday, Granny.
Thank you. So, that keeps me busy.
How's your bond with your children and grandchildren, and what kind of things do you like to do with them?
So, I think earlier when they were growing up, I couldn't spend that much time. When I see how much time parents spend with their children now, like with my children with their grandchildren, it wasn't like that, because just didn't have the time and didn't have the, ability at that time to be able to do it. So I think I'm trying to make up for it now. But we spend, we all like to travel, we all love cooking. So
all of you?
Yeah, all of us. Well, most of us. And stuff like that. Just.
So you have 2 children, a son and a daughter?
Yes.
And are they also with you in your business now?
They are.
Okay.
They are.
So that gives you, a lot of space to now, take a mentorship role rather than being in the grind that you've been while building the business?
I'm not sure how much of a mentorship role it is, because when you're working with family, it's they don't want to be told what to do all the time. So,
is that a universal truth?
Yes, I think so. I think so.
And how do they treat your success? They don't look up to you, okay, our mom, like, she's fought through this.
Quite lightly they take my success, which is very annoying. But that's how it is.
It's also a great leveler, I guess.
It is.
So how does the bonding work? You said most mothers, when they have children, they're also, circumstances also make working women spend a lot of time at work, and they just about try their best at managing and balancing work life and home life. Despite that, how's your bonding with your children, and how do they appreciate the kind of sacrifices you've made?
I have a great bond. I have a great bond with them, and I think they may not say it, but I think they appreciate it. But I think also when they were born, I was very young. So we all grew up together, you know. It was like when they were there, and there was a book called Dr. Spock. I don't know whether
yes,
still
we all read it.
Yeah,
we all read
and
it.
then someone was crying, and I'd rush to the book and say, "No, keep quiet," and you know, you quickly read what the doctor had to say, and that sort of thing.
I would wake up at night just to check,
isn't it?
if this small baby was breathing
Yeah.
also.
Isn't
or
it?
not.
Yeah.
Does he know how to breathe?
Yeah.
That
I've
was
had
my
those
biggest-
moments.
You had that?
Yes.
Because when they're born, they're so tiny that you actually begin to get
That's
scared.
Right. That's right.
How does this little thing know how to
Yes.
breathe?
Yes.
Yeah, and Dr. Spock, yeah, in our times. Now everything is, of course, on Google,
Yes.
and everybody is searching everything else.
Yeah. And everybody knows it anyway. I mean, everyone knows everything.
Yeah, in our time, we didn't know nothing about nothing.
No.
True. You know, I read somewhere that you had an option to go to Cambridge or get married. And you chose marriage.
Well, actually, I got into Cambridge, but I wanted to get married. My parents did not want me to get married. But
So you were seeing
so it wasn't. I was, as I said, very
young.
very protected.
Okay.
Wasn't allowed to go out and that sort of thing. But you know, maybe being so protected is not such a good thing, because you think it's a Mills and Boon kind of world, you know. And I was, they were very strict, and I thought marriage is going to be, you know, I can wear
Liberating.
what I want, I can, you know, do what I want, but marriage is not what you sort of envision it to be. But that's what they didn't want me to get married. So, but my mother-in-law came, and she said that, you know, they were very keen, and he was very keen. So she said, no, it has to happen within this time, and otherwise it won't happen. And so it just happened, circumstances, and it just happened. So before we knew it.
And then, how was marriage?
Marriage was actually good. It was in the beginning very much of a fairy tale kind of marriage, and then things sort of you know, get to reality, but it was good.
But early losing of partner can rock the boat.
Yeah.
And so companionship, don't you miss it? And you know, when you made a big business, don't you feel lonely? And that whole journey, you know, and in the world around us, you know, everything's so moving so fast, and you seem to be totally at peace with everything, and contrary to what a successful businesswoman would be, all over the place. How do you do it?
So it would be, I think, wrong if I said I never felt lonely occasionally. I do, I do. But it's not enough to do something about it. And I'm basically very, in a certain sense, spiritual, not religious, but spiritual. So I sort of, I feel lots of things are meant to be, you know, and I'm fairly content with the way I am. So I have no
milestones that you want to create now? What next?
Work-wise, always. Work-wise, I feel you've never reached anywhere, you know. I always feel there's so much more to do. But that's work-wise, yes. I'm always sort of very never content with work.
And what would you want to say to young women who are watching you tonight in terms of getting through the difficulties of life, or building building a brand like yours, building a business like yours? What would you say to them?
So I would say, fundamentally, I would first say that you have to believe in yourself. And if anyone tells you you can't do this or this can't be done, you can do it. And secondly, I think you have to, building a business is not easy. So you have to persist. You have to sort of want to do something, and then you have, because there are going to be lots of, and then sometimes you feel it's never going to happen. But if you want it enough and you persist, it will happen. There is nothing that you can't do if you're determined to do it. You know, that's what I've seen in my life. And the other thing I would say is that it's important to build a business with integrity. Because if you build a business with integrity, with authenticity, then you are laying a very good foundation. And that's something that, you know, because other people can come in, many people come in similar businesses. But if you have a core, strong value system, then you're known for what you do, you know. And credibility is key. I mean, why would somebody, what I feel really good about is that many people say to me, you know, we saw it was, thank God Forest Essentials is available there. Because we're sort of, you know, so you know that somebody is picking up that product because he knows it's, yeah, they trust what it is, what it says it is. And you won't believe, for many, many years, we never did any advertising, we never did any, you know, everything was word of mouth. So I think that when you ask me what makes it different in the clutter as well, there's that core which is very strong, you know, because it's very easy to advertise, it's very easy to, you know, say things that everybody else is saying. But when you're making a product like ours, it doesn't last this long if it doesn't work, firstly. And secondly, if you're using or you are making something with that degree of authenticity, then it has to work.
And that's the confidence that you've always had.
I think so.
Some things just have to work. And the fact that Ayurveda always existed here for thousands of years, yoga existed here, but we never sort of saw the strengths. We are beginning to market something like that. Market in the sense of just putting it out there, because the world is using what India has, Bharat has.
Yeah.
How do you see that going back to the roots in terms of the civilizational reclaiming? Is your journey also part of that, do you think?
No, absolutely. I think that I think the fundamental thing is that it's not just a product. It's a way of life. It's sustainability. It's, you know, even in our factories, it's sustainable. They're green. We don't waste anything. So even for instance, as I was telling you, you know, we had to start making, or we wanted to start making oils on our own. So when you hand press an oil, and it's a cold press method, there's so much, whether you're using sesame or you're using whatever seeds, there's a lot of residue, because when you cold press oil, it never really.
Yeah.
So that is used in something else. and when we talk about sustainability, this is true sustainability, because this is actually making sure that everything is utilized and everything has a...
As a circle.
Yeah, you know.
And I like your brand ethos. What you can't eat, you can't use. And just like in the kitchen, we have a use for every part. And the Indian kitchens know how to use every part. Very, very little wastage takes place. Even peels will be used for something or
but that is true sustainability. You know, that is what it is. And it's so fundamental to Ayurveda. It's so fundamental to our way of life. That's what it is.
So what next for Mira Kulkarni? Where does she go from here?
So we have recently taken some stores abroad.
London, I think.
In London and in Dubai, Kuwait. We're opening some more there now. But the thing always was to be able to create an Indian brand which would be comparable in its category to anything in the world. And I think that's where we are playing now, where I think it is comparable, and I think the idea is to
go global.
To go global, yeah.
Once in a while, do you want to pat yourself on the back?
Occasionally, I think, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I say it to myself, okay, it's not done so badly.
Amazing. You've done very well. And what I find totally endearing about you is the fact that in this day and age where people talk a lot more than what they've done and achieved, you're reticent and you're, not willing to be out there, to be marketed as the biggest success story. You're holding yourself back, but truly, to your spirit, to your perseverance, to your hard work and your vision, salute. And from everybody, and then from especially women who can take a leaf out of your book and feel encouraged that it's not so tough after all. Have a dream in your eyes, and who knows where it gets you.
Absolutely.
Lovely talking to you, Mira Kulkarni. It's been a pleasure.
So
and
thank you.
Frankly speaking, it was such a different experience from the regular political interviews that I do. Breath of fresh air. And fresh is all
Thank you.
that you talk about. Thank you very much.